It's Mental Health Awareness Month. I'm Sarah from the Dainty Pear. We're kicking off this video series for this month talking about how you might know if you have an anxiety disorder. I feel like it's important to just kind of roll back to the basics because sometimes we talk about really specific things when there are a lot of people who might experience certain symptoms and not know why or what's going on. So sometimes it's helpful to hear out loud somebody else say something that you've been going through. 15, 20 years ago, I was looking online at some threads online. There used to be like, what's it called? When you'd go online, you could search something and then it would have a thread of people talking about the same thing that you searched. What is it called? Oh, message boards. Message boards? I can't remember. Anyway, I put in my symptoms that I was having. I don't even think it was Google at the time. It was like something else. I honestly don't even remember what it was. It was so long ago. But I remember seeing somebody saying that they had these same symptoms that I had. It was probably this like old guy in Australia. And I was like, oh my gosh, somebody else in the world knows what I'm going through. They're doing okay and I'm not the only one who's ever felt like this. Anyway, really random, but it was really validating. And so I thought maybe a video like this might be helpful for somebody. So here we go. First of all, I have to say, if you feel like you have any of these things going on, the best place to start is with your doctor. They'll help you rule out anything else that might be going on. A therapist, psychiatrist, start with the professionals. But hopefully, if you didn't even realize that you should be seeing somebody for that because you don't even know how to express the symptoms that you're feeling, hopefully this can help propel you in the right direction. So let's start with some statistics. Anxiety disorders make up one of the most common mental health issues, which is about 40 million adults ages 18 and older, or 18.1% of the population every year. And that's diagnosed people. I'm sure there's a lot more than that, and that's just the United States. So figure in the rest of the world. There are a lot of anxiety disorders happening. So if you feel alone in this, I'm telling you that you're not alone, but the statistics are also telling you that you're not alone, even though it feels so isolating at times and like you're completely crazy. A lot of people are experiencing what you're experiencing. And even though they can be highly treatable, only about 36% of people are receiving treatment for that, whether through therapy or medication. As somebody who has been diagnosed with anxiety and OCD, I can tell you that I used to feel like it's something I needed to hide. Not necessarily hide, but I can't explain it unless you've had these symptoms and you just know how scary they can be and how if you expressed on the outside how scary they are inside, you fear that you would just look crazy. So I went along as normal as I could be. There were certain things that I had to change. Like I would have to sit by the door as often as possible. And I would feel like I had to have access to like a drink of water, or as I got older, my phone so that I could call for help if I needed to, or it's not anything like that. It really was affecting everything 24/7. And there would be little moments of like pick me ups where it's like, oh, my anxiety is not as bad today. And then I'd have a hormonal swing or anything like that, and it would just throw me out of whack. And there are also some things from my childhood that I won't even get into today. That's like 100 videos just in and of itself. There were a lot of triggers, if you will. I honestly don't like that word. I feel like it's really overused, but it is a real thing that happens. I went for a really, really, really long time never talking about it publicly. I had one friend who started to experience it, and so we kind of confided in each other and we'd be like, have you ever felt like this? Yes, I feel like that all the time. Have you ever felt like this? And it was just like this place where we could bounce back our anxiety-ridden thoughts. It was nice to have that little safe space where I'm like, oh, I'm not crazy. And I felt like it got me through another day of dealing with those symptoms. Eventually, fast forward, when I got pregnant with my first baby, I was really struggling. My body had the hardest time adjusting to hormones. I had been on birth control before we got married for just about a month, and I had to stop because my anxiety was so bad and it caused a depression in me too, where I became suicidal, and it was terrible. It was so bad. So the hormones for me, just the whole shebang was not jiving very well with my body and my mind. And so when I got pregnant, I decided, okay, I cannot do this anymore. I went to a therapist and it was not a good fit. I'll just insert here really quickly that if you feel like you finally mustered up the courage to go to a therapist and you're like in it and you're ready and you meet with them and it doesn't feel like a good fit, don't give up. Find somebody else. Do not feel trapped meeting with them, it's okay to find somebody that fits with your personality a little bit better, and they are totally out there. Right now, especially pandemic-wise, like there are so many people that you have access to that you wouldn't usually have access to because a lot of people have moved online. I have spoken with some professionals that say they really encourage in-person therapy as opposed to online, but I really feel that anything is better than nothing to start with, and then eventually working with somebody in person would be awesome too. I will continue by saying this girl, it was not a fit, but even though it wasn't the greatest situation, I did open up a little bit, and even just saying the fears and things that I had going on in my mind out loud helped me. And I was kind of on a little bit of a high because I was like, oh, I actually got it out there. It didn't feel as scary once I started talking about it. And so even though that wasn't a fit, it still was beneficial for me. I found somebody way far away from where I lived. I still just kind of wanted to be really private about it. And then I had my second baby and experienced postpartum depression. It was not fun, and it just gave me a whole new empathy for the depression side of things, because I felt like I had dealt with a lot of anxiety, but not as much depression throughout my life, at least that I had noticed. But it is not uncommon for somebody who has depression or anxiety to be diagnosed with the other. They can a lot of times go hand in hand. Anyway, it was after that, and then after the birth of my third baby, we have 5 kids, so just continual pregnancies, and I finally felt like, why am I being quiet about this? There has to be other people that are going through this, and we need to break down these barriers and not feel like we can't talk about it anymore. And so I just started being as vulnerable as possible with my online audience. And it's funny to say, but I had anxiety about talking about anxiety. Like it was a lot, but it opened up this whole new world. And a lot of you were like, thank you so much for speaking on this. This is exactly how I felt, and I've never heard somebody put it into words. And for me, that kept me going. And there were so many times I just wanted to quit online, not in a dramatic way, just kind of like, I don't know if I want to be out there. I don't know if I want to have a public profile. There was just a lot of things in my mind. And I would always get a message like that right as I was kind of going through that battle in my mind of whether I should kind of stay online or not. So I appreciate those messages more than you guys will ever know. That really keeps me going, talking about birth and anxiety and these things that can be a little bit vulnerable. But I strongly believe in making this conversation more open and common. And if we have something that can help somebody else, why keep that to ourselves? If we come across another person who is struggling and we have been there, there's so much power in linking arms and being like, I've done this before, I've got you. Even if I can't totally lift your burden, I can help you know that you are not alone, and I can give you my best advice or just moral support while you get through this. Okay, so let's talk about symptoms that can happen. Again, talk to your doctor, talk to a therapist. I'm just throwing some of these things out there in case they can help you recognize what you might be feeling. Every person on earth is going to experience some anxiety, and that's not a bad thing. Healthy amounts of anxiety or stress can keep us safe, meet deadlines. They can kind of put that fire under our buns to make sure that we're getting things done or protecting our children or like keeping ourselves safe. It's a very normal and healthy thing to have a fight or flight response. But when it becomes these anxiety disorders, you might be feeling like you're in danger all the time when you're not. You can get that lightheadedness, shakiness, irritability, racing thoughts. You might have a tightness in your chest or feel like you can't get a full breath. That was one of my huge symptoms growing up, even through elementary school. I had my first panic attack in first grade, and I remember it clearly, like it was yesterday. It's insane. That was one of my things. I felt like I couldn't get a full breath, and then I would end up hyperventilating, and then it would make all my symptoms worse. The like tingling in my fingers or like around my mouth. You might be experiencing some depression if you feel like isolating yourself. If you lose interest in doing things that you used to like to do and you just don't anymore, you're just kind of like, meh, I don't really want to do that. And you just kind of want to keep to yourself and be inside. And if that's not like you, then that might be something to consider. Or if you have recurring feelings of heaviness or sadness or a self-consciousness where you're like, nobody likes me, the world would be better off without me, things like that. If you've experienced any of those things, please go talk to your doctor. Please go see somebody. You don't need to continue to feel that way. And you're also not the only one who's ever felt like that. So please go get evaluated. You can be the best version of yourself for yourself, for your spouse or your partner or your kids. I went to Magnolia Market a few years ago, and it said something on the wall along the lines of, the world needs you to be who you were made to be. I honestly feel like I went so long without getting the right help or treatment or any treatment or help at all. And I look back and I'm like, I could have done that better. I could have saved so much time and energy and headache and anxiety and depression, and I don't regret any of it, but I just know now that if you're experiencing any of this, the sooner the better to get the help. But it's also never too late. No matter how long you've been dealing with it, you can still take care of it. You can still look up, reach out, and get the help that you need in that way. Some other things you might be feeling are like tense or sore muscles or jaw, a lot of difficulty concentrating, a brain fog, feeling really tired frequently, having really scary or morbid thoughts over and over and over, feeling restless, feeling constantly worried about yourself, your family, your children, your husband, your wife, your family members, your friends, like people you haven't even talked to forever, just having an overall sense of worry for other people. That's a big one for me too. And you just might find it hard to function. Like you don't feel like yourself. You know that something's going on, but you don't really know what. You just feel kind of off. And you also have some of these symptoms. It might be something to look into. I want to talk about postpartum depression and anxiety in another video, but just to touch on it really quickly, after you have a baby or even during pregnancy, your hormones are all over the place. And it's not uncommon to feel things like this, things that you are like, oh my gosh, if anybody knew what I was feeling, they would take my baby away. Like they just having those intense thoughts. But if you are alarmed by the things that you're feeling or thinking, it means that you are in control. You know that that's not in line with your values and something you would do or normally think, and that's a good thing. But just know if you are postpartum or if you're pregnant, it can happen during pregnancy too, where you have that depression or severe anxiety. Don't be afraid to talk to your provider. They hear it all the time. There's nothing you could say that they probably haven't heard before. Their job and their desire is to help you through that and help you feel confident in being able to raise this baby and giving you the best experience possible. Another symptom could be overthinking things, being like, oh, did I just say the wrong thing? Like having a lot of anxiety in social situations, overthinking things that you said. I'm totally guilty of this. I'm like, why would I say that? I'm so dumb. I'm so awkward. I have come to terms with the fact that I'm just awkward sometimes, and that's fine and whatever. Hopefully, whatever. It's fine. But if you are severely overthinking things, that might be a sign that you have some anxiety going on as well. That is all I think for today. There are so many more symptoms, you guys. If I went through and named every symptom that I have had over the years, we'd be here all day. We'd be here for a year. Okay, because it's a lot. Another thing would be temperature changes, sensitivity to light changes. If you have a lot of anxiety about your health and just you're very aware of different changes and things happening in your body, that might be another sign. There are so many, like I said. But if you have experienced any of these things or it's something that happens to you on a daily basis, hopefully this can help you pinpoint it and you can get the help that you need. It is Mental Health Awareness Month, you guys. Now is the time to take care of our mental health, to reach out. Do this for yourself. Baby steps. I've said this before and I will say it again a million times. Baby steps are still progress. So if you're reaching out to a friend or if you're Googling a therapist or doctor in your area, or you open up to your partner, anything in the right direction is progress. And I hope you can remember that and give yourself grace as you navigate your anxiety or depression journey. Remember to subscribe to my YouTube channel if this was helpful for you, and ring the bell if you want notifications of future videos. You can find me on Instagram at the Dainty Pear. I hope you guys are having a great day, and I will talk to you later.